Scroll. But they may not remember what they did in the beginning.
Yeah. So that's the document that shows our concern is security for human lives. Ironically, by building a weapon system, which is supposed to deter enemies, from attacking the United States. So that's done as a collective. It's not about bombing any segment of America itself. It's just to show capability that America cannot be attacked. Okay? The scrolling, I need to be able to scroll this to go to the bottom. John? So that's what we're about. The mistake which is made is that our respect for life goes even beyond the human level. It goes to other creatures. Okay? So, but what is this supposed to be?
Don't use that in the picture. You use the scroll. That's not for the picture. There's no scroll bar. You don't use that for the picture. You just use the mouse.
So this has to be understood in terms of what black.
Just 1 second. You can talk now.
I hope you all seen the document. That document is part of, explains what I was just talking about before.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. So that's what GAGUT is committed to. Of course, committed to the overall understanding, the God order, that God created life to be holy. And to last forever. God designed life to last forever. So blowing lives away does not show intelligence. It doesn't show GAGUT at all. But black people are being dragged in because that's not something black people, because black people recognize stealing is bad. Among other things, because in the process of stealing, people can get killed. Okay? The whole weapon system these days are designed just for robbery, to commit armed robbery. Black people do not believe in armed robbery because the black people do not. I'm black, so I know what I'm talking about. Black people do not believe,
Hold down. You scroll up, way down there, and scroll up or down like that.
Yeah, well.
Hold down this button, the left-hand side, and scroll up or down.
Yeah. So it's a whole different, dynamics altogether. We don't believe in stealing, because stealing is considered a risk on human life, but it also is a sign of incompetence and inferiority complex. Whatever you need, God gave you enough brains to provide for yourself. So therefore, the same reason we don't steal is the same reason we don't have prisons. So when we come over here and that's the only place you could find black people literally is prisons, something's wrong with people responsible for that prison. You know, and it's not about begging. Black people don't beg anyone. We're invincible. Okay? So it's not about weakness. We are the most powerful human creatures, or creatures, period. But we prove our powers through the report that you show, that you see right now. As you can see, Air Force grant, that's as soon as GAGUT came up. First thing on my mind was, hey, make America safe. So I can't be busy doing that and you're mowing down my mothers and my brothers, my sisters, in the name of law and order. The whole law and order is just a little piece of GAGUT. If you don't understand it, go into LexisNexis and you see a lot regarding GAGUT. That's what's the real power. There is absolutely no power in demolishing lives. And black people that are dragged into that process are dragged. The key word is drag. It's against their will. Black people don't believe in killing. There's no reason to kill. It's all about love. Love is an expression of intelligence. And as far as I know, every time I hear about anything, like death, it continues to be a lot of painful thing to me. Even an ant dying. So to say I feel for other humanity is an understatement. It's not just black thing. It's anything created by God. Because God gave me the totality of intelligence, and God does the same thing. Even some of the religious books admit in terms of the Bible. I mean, the Gospels talk about God. Jesus wept. And if Jesus is supposed to be Son of God or symbolism of God, hey, if you are understanding what you call religion, you will understand my position as being the position of the Almighty God. God weeps, God cries when a life is blown away. And God should know because God is the author of life. And on our own human level here, try to ask a mother how she feels. That just considering the 9 months alone, that's not counting the years the mother uses in raising the child. The 9 months of morning sickness and all the other thing a mother goes through for 9 solid months. Most of the mothers put in their lives as in an extreme danger, at the risk of death, only to have a bomb blow away that life in a few seconds. There's nothing GAGUTical there. So there's no mother that is happy seeing any child blown away, any human being blown away. That is definitely not GAGUTical. So therefore, humans are not happy with the killing of people. Okay, then you know that God, who is more than a superhuman, is not happy with death, and therefore God cannot be implicated in death. That's another level. So that's another level of ignorance. And so when you look around, what you see is ignorance being responsible for all the problems. Ignorance. So as you can see there, yes, I show the world how to design supermaneuverable aircraft with aerodynamics and knowledge of material, composite materials, the transonic flow, field, which Professor Garabedian student was talking about in the last broadcast, was something God blessed me with. Okay? And then combined that with the affine translation, that's where the concept of super maneuver came out of. Okay? To make sure that foreigners don't get any ideas about bombing America. But after I've done that on behalf of humanity, for the only thing the police can think of is, you understand, to forget it, forget the big picture, and now, you understand, get caught up. That can be forces that are of interest, or that have interest of America at hand. To say that makes America weak or weaker should be so obvious. Police needs a training in GAGUT. Put GAGUT in the lesson nexus. And you know, to be a better police, you need to study GAGUT. You need to be GAGUTical. And in the process, if you're studying GAGUT, and if ClayMath would allow you to study GAGUT, you will see black people in GAGUT. And you will stop murdering not just the black mothers, but black people altogether. Because it does not help you at all. And black people need to know about GAGUT so they can understand who they are. That does not give other people any impression they don't know who they are. Because if you don't know who you are, that's very bad. But you have to know who I am before you know who you are. Therefore, you must be studying GAGUT and be able to explain to the police that has no understanding of who you are. Say, hey, Mr. Cop, this is who I am. You need to understand who I am. I'm created by God as being a member of the most intelligent race. Therefore, I, as a member of a group, constitute a symbolism of God. We all consider it, but we're closer to God, like Professor Dasgupta said. There's no question that there's nothing between God and myself. Because God is intelligence, and my intelligence is the ultimate intelligence. You can't get more than ultimate intelligence. These are very, and evidence, this is a practical proof of that in the Pentagon piece. Principal investigator, that's who he's talking to right now. And that has been applied in warplane designs all over the world. Israeli aircraft many years ago sent one of their researchers all the way from Israel to come and see me here in America. That goes for any other country in the world. Okay? Including Russia, of course, Germany. Germany knows GAGUT better than any other country, including America. That's a show of a lot of credit for them, and that's why they're able to show. So, and by the way, the DTIC is something we inherited from Germans. Okay, stamped there very clearly, selected. You need to remember that. And let the police people see that. Talk about using robots. All those come out of GAGUT. Especially use robot to kill a black man. You know? And what it boils down to is killing is that simple. A robot without brains can kill. Therefore, there's nothing to brag about in terms of a human, killing life. What is there to brag about is either creating life, which only God can do, or protecting life. That's what it is to brag about. And it's inconsistent message to say, John, on the one hand, you like to kill human lives, and then turn around and say, gee, hey, we're the best doctors, we're the best carers of life. That's inconsistent. You understand? So there's going to be a mix-up at some point where even as you're trying to be a doctor, surgeon in the operating room, you might snap and start choking your patient to death because you're so preoccupied with the killing. It's a whole mix-up. You can't be on both sides. And although I designed this, like I said, it's in a world where people who are not so brilliant are trying to rule the world through terrorism and using weaponry. Okay? And while for black people, that's, again, that has been going for 2,500 years. And in the process, people are mistaken to say we're pushovers. We are invincible, to the contrary. Very, very invincible. But trying to push us to the walls to have us changing our basic philosophy is not a good way to do things. So, so that's it there in terms of Pentagon. I'd like all of you to remember that. This is what black people do for this country, is to protect America and the rest of the world. That's what we do. That's what we use our brains to do. Protect life, not destroy life. Because there's no sense in destroying life. We have a lot more important kind of things to do. John, I need to switch to another page. Okay? So that's what that's what needs to be clear, thoroughly understood. John? Yeah. Okay, I'm going to need help. I need other pages. And it is this dimension that Clay does not present stuff like this. ClayMath does not deal with this. And in the last, I want Göttingen. I could bring in Göttingen. So we have so far well, before we get on, do you have a put Yale up very quickly? So, as John had indicated before, in terms of how we compare with the rest of the creators, Yale, demonstrated that. Yale, I said. So, these are things that ClayMath is not allowing you to see and understand. Okay? I just want to flash this for a quick second before I go back to cutting, and that would also flash. Okay. This is the document John shared with you earlier. Okay, that's a Yale report. Clearly, showing very loud and clear that in the realm of intelligence, black race is second to none. And so, I understand, yeah, I understand. And the reason we look like we are pushovers is because we appreciate life so much. Not only ours, but the lives of everyone. So you're supposed to learn from us because we're your teachers. Just like we all learn from God, the ultimate teacher. When you see us doing something, there is a reason we do it. And whereas when it comes to a destruction, which we could only be involved in when we have no other choice. Our intelligence, our intelligence, this is the Yale document that Brother Professor Glover showed
Can everyone see it?
This is what was shown to you before.
Can everyone see the document up in front of them?
Can you see? Okay. Is everybody looking at this document? I'm just going to flash it for a quick second. Can you see it?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I see it. I see it.
Okay. So again, Africans clustered separately from the non-African populations. The police need to see this. 15 polymorphisms were shared among most of the populations compared, whereas 13 sites were found to be endemic to the Africans and 4 to non-Africans. That is the key. This is from Yale University. That's what we're talking about. These are not pushovers. You can't delude your superiors into, making them feel like they're pushovers. There's no pushover here in the black people. Whatever you have is multiplied, according to this report, multiplied by, you understand, 1 2/3. 1 2/3 times whatever you have in intelligence, and by extension, in the negative way. If you could destroy lives, we could do, our potential is that we could do 1 2/3 more. Well, we can do, multiply that by what you can do. That's really what it shows here. And we are not necessarily looking forward to demonstrate that. We're showing you the direction that is, we need to show you, which is to show we are superior, by teaching you stuff that you don't know. That's our job. The same way that parents are in a position to teach young people. It's a responsibility, by being older. The same way it's a responsibility to teach when you're blessed with intelligence. So intimidating black people does not help anyone. You can't intimidate black people. They will laugh when they try to intimidate them. The very dynamics of guns, just like you saw the Pentagon piece before, it shows you we can build warplanes and bombs. That's not a problem for us. What's the problem is destroying lives. That's why you're seeing us being so tolerant, that it seems as if we're weak. We're not weak. So you saw that. So because 15 is common to everyone, and in addition, Africans have 13, okay? 13 more sites were found to be endemic only for Africans and 4 for non-Africans. So if you add 13 to the 15, you get 28, and 4 for the non, that's 28 for the blacks, and 4 to the 15 gives you 19. It's very simple arithmetic, extremely simple. And the symbolism, among other things, to know that people who have been traditional opponents in this whole dynamics, including, they probably like to call what I'm speaking right now, hold on. Okay, as expression of black supremacy. Well, our supremacy is a God order. That is not the debatable one. We are superior because the figure has just been given here. It's a statement of the fact to say black people are superior because 28 is much bigger than 19. That's not an empty word. That's mathematics. That's geometry. That's reality. Just like God is far superior to everyone, including myself. So we don't want to lie and say, gee, we're inferior. That's a fraud. We don't do business like that. So whereas the statement sounds like the black supremacy, no, it is the truth. That's the, if I don't speak that, I'll be lying like everybody else. I don't want to lie. And even Kenneth with the KKK has to, he has submitted to the truth himself. Or, that's what you call the European supremacy. So if he can tell the truth, you better believe black people will tell the truth. So you have black supremacy and the European supremacy. It turns out that black supremacy is the truth. But that's a God order. So that's not something, now that's where that's the packing order from God. We have nothing individual to do with that. That's a God order. That's a packing order. And the God order is the only thing, just like 2 + 1 is equal to 3. It's a God order. Just like 13 + 15 is equal to 20. That's a God order. The same way that 4 + 15 is also another God order, which is 19. So that's not a supremacy expression. That is a God order. That's what we mean by God order. And although the measurement requires something, but by talking about European bias was dropped, it shows some sincerity in the process. And it was non-blacks that did this reading. So I hope that message is very loud and clear. On both sides, because the black people are too shy, they're inhibited in terms of reading this because of the past 2,500 years of acquired intelligence deficiency syndrome, where the acting has been so bad, kind of like the so-called Pavlovian monkey dynamics. But Pavlovian monkey dynamics is on both sides. Even the person that is experimenting, setting up the Pavlovian monkey, syndrome, is going through the syndrome himself or herself. So it has effects on both sides. Because even though the person perpetrating the fraud is like what is said, if you lie in the morning, you repeat yourself again in the afternoon. So the person that you're lying to hears it a second time. So in the evening, not only them, but you have heard the same lie 3 times, just like they did. So they begin to believe you, but you're going to begin to believe yourself as well. Therefore, the Pavlovian monkeys on both sides. And what's happening here is that, Kenneth K. Kidd that's supposed to belong to the European supremacy that has been perpetrating the propaganda, the so-called European bias, is now breaking away, breaking the shackles of that fraud and say, hey, let's stop kidding ourselves as a result of GAGUT, of course, because you can't do anything with my ultimate intelligence as a God order, just like you can't do anything with 2 + 1 - 3 is equal to 0. I'm talking about 2 + 1 - 3 is equal to 0, E minus MC squared equal to 0, broke down the doors of the gas chambers and pulled the Jewish people out of the kind of prison that our people are in today, all over this country. Okay? So, like I said, God created us. We had the best civilizations and everything, and not one piece was dedicated to prisons, because obeying the God order is a way of life for us. And that's how the negative confessions, which eventually part of it was called the Ten Commandments, that's a way of life for us. So therefore, there's no room for prison. Just like we produce food to feed our people, there's no room for hunger. That's who black people are. Because God gave us intelligence. No stealing. Why are you stealing? You have everything you need. So this is what needs to be understood. Now get back down to Göttingen. So that's Yale. And that's since 1997. People are way behind. Today you can't be killing yourselves. And the killing comes from absence of GAGUT. Because if GAGUT was in, there will be an agreement on both sides. And there will be not only peace, but heaven. You know, heaven will be, you'll be experiencing heaven. And that's what God never said, hey, because I'm creating you, go and stay in hell. That's not God. God doesn't do business like that. So hell that we see here are what comes out of our ignorance. The same way God did not create us to die. Death comes from absence of GAGUT or ignorance. So what has happened here in Göttingen is extremely profound. That's why I have to, by God order, I have to be flashing this to the world until there's peace. There has to be a basis of peace. It's not about any number of ideologies that you understand that are crafted that does not have a solid base. It's too emotional. And then they slap it on God and say, oh yeah, that's come from God. Talk about infidels. Anybody can get up and call another person an infidel or a sinner. And therefore, that's a basis to kill that so-called infidel. That's dumb. You have to prove the person's an infidel first. As easy as it is for you to declare somebody an infidel, you could, and you understand what's your credential, what's your proof. I can decide on people because I'm a GIJ. I can decide on who is an infidel or who is a genius. Because God gave me the ultimate intelligence. But you can't just pop up and wear some clothing and say, hey man, you're the decider who is the infidel and who is the saint. That's number one. Number two, certainly if you are really the saint, your first choice will not be to kill. Because there is nowhere where God left you that as an example. And obviously that wasn't clear before GAGUT. And I just proved to you very loud and clear that God cannot be about, a creator cannot be about killing. Because we didn't come into this world as a result of war, killing. It's not by war. It's not about killing that we come into this world. Therefore, killing can be, there's no room for killing. Especially as difficult as it is, even for a woman who is a bearer of life, the hardship a woman has to go through now to bring life. That is something we need to consider as part of the proof that, God didn't create us to kill or die. So, but, the way you deal with that, that's what I was telling you before. Look where David Hilbert is, number 24, as in rank number 3. So you have GAGUT, number 1, and they put a title, Grand Unified Theorem. Anybody with the brains, which is where, Clay, proves, itself. If Clay has brains, they will see, hey, you know, something called grand unified theorem. That's already, that's a mouthful to say the least. Grand unified theorem. Theorem is infallible truth. So when you have a grand unified theorem, you have the totality of the truth, and expressed mathematically means it is infallible. So the Germans knew that with all the verification from both American Mathematical Society and European Mathematical Society, in the European and non-black world, that their case is covered. And the 30 days of scrutiny and understanding in Nigeria on behalf of the black people have already sealed the whole process. Therefore, 2005, which coincides with the commemoration of Gauss, considered before GAGUT to be the greatest mathematician since antiquity. When you're celebrating such, and after GAGUT has gone through the most rigorous review of any discovery in history, it was time to put GAGUT where it belongs. Clay has no clue what's going on, obviously. Clay, you know, Clay picks up now. The person that really listed GAGUT is the one on number 3. I don't see Clay here. Does anybody see Clay? Do you see Clay in the list here? Is anybody seeing any Clay there?
No.
No.
That's right. You won't see BBC either. Okay? David Hilbert was the one that listed and recognized the Riemann hypothesis. Do you understand?
Yes.
So look into the geometry. If I was on the same level with David Hilbert, and David Hilbert announced, obviously he must have checked it out and know, you know, that Riemann hypothesis is a very tough problem. So, and look where he is ranked. The people who, if you look number 19, Sir Michael Atiyah, that's number 19. These are, a few of these people are the ones that Clay is supposedly using as consultants. Okay, but look where they are as a group. They are number 19, meaning if you count 26 to 19, that is number 7. They are 7th on the list collectively. That geometry must be understood. And so, other than Michael Atiyah, nobody else is listed by name. Okay? And of course, what's his name comes later on. Alain Cones come, you know, below, but those are way, you know, way down. None of them can compete with GAGUT. GAGUT is number 1 as it's supposed to be. Okay? They could have put David Hilbert. David Hilbert has more popularity before GAGUT than anybody else. If they put him at week 26, very few people will know the difference. But the Germans are very, very much into precision. Yeah, they know. Adolf Hitler would know something's wrong with that. They know that. So they didn't want to take a chance, because if that was done, you understand, if that had happened, it will smear the reputation of Gauss. That's how you know the Germans are intelligent. But this, the way it is done, it will go down in history properly. A child that was going to be born, you know, 20 million years from now will understand the Germans to be smart. They won't be able to say the same of ClayMath or Wikipedia. Okay? They won't say the same of Wikipedia, because they will not see Wikipedia. Wikipedia probably would have phased itself out anyway. Einstein said, taught us all, said, hey, politics is for the moment. That's what Clay does. ClayMath, you're a political institution. Don't deal with policy. Don't touch mathematics. Okay?
Well,
Use their phones, please.
$6.
Their computers.
It's not on sale.
Okay?
Please mute the computers or phones.
And is that Haynes?
Mr. Haynes, can you hear us?
So,
Yes, brother. Sorry.
okay, so that's what we're talking about here. You can see GAGUT is #1 forever. And the Germans, because of their intelligence, understand that. They had GAGUT, if you notice, the Gauss name is, he understands almost, he understands a little high on the left, and then GAGUT comes in next. And the Russian comes in after that, and their own son, you know, because they want it to be precise. They know they would like the world to understand that when they put David Hill at #3, it is in the interest of their own integrity and intelligence. You can smash anything all in any way you want, but you cannot stop people from judging you in the process. That's what Clay is unable to understand. That's what BBC is unable to understand. That's what Wikipedia is unable to understand. That's what CNN is unable to understand. So, you know, that's what is the story here. So now, what's also happening here, again in the spirit of Gauss and Hilbert, okay, and so John, I'm going to need some help. So I wanted to show you also that not only is Gauss the grandfather of Riemann hypothesis, but David, who first, you know, as far as we're concerned, we have, okay, to be able to go down so I could show number 14. Okay, just quickly.
It's sluggish. Don't know why it is.
Okay, that's okay. That's, you know, okay. You can see that number 14, the title is what's most important. Geometric mechanics on Riemannian manifolds. So that in that phase, the Riemann, I'm sorry, the Riemann is already here, also here, because Riemann, so Riemann is also a student of Gauss. That's a connection between Gauss and Riemann hypothesis. Okay, so therefore, now what's also happening here is that not only is the Göttingen list ranking individual mathematicians and their work, but also it's ranking the universities. This is very important. So everybody listening to that. Can everybody hear that?
Yes, Professor.
Okay. In other words,
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, Professor, I hear it.
okay. By putting GAGUT #1, that's another way of saying Ufapit Institute of Technology is the #1 university in the world. Can you all see that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Is there any doubts in anybody's mind? Because the discoveries are associated with the universities. So on that basis, You have a faculty of technology. There's a Russian university. There's Göttingen is number 3. Okay? Do you understand?
Yep, got it.
So that this is what you explain to people. This is where you differentiate propaganda from reality. This is reality. Do you understand? Can you all understand that? This is reality.
The truth will
Yes,
set you
Professor.
free.
Okay, so you're looking at it. It's not only the ranking of individual mathematicians, but the schools where they come from. So, faculty of technology is number 1. The Russian University is number 2. Göttingen is number 3. Moscow State and St. Petersburg or Leningrad is number 4. That's Russian. And then you move on to, there are a few stuff that are put in terms of computer science. But computer science is an application. Computer science is not mathematics. Okay? It happens that as an applied math, you know, Gauss's work also featured there as well. So then you go down until you reach number 7, which is number 19, is when Cambridge comes in, and Harvard, and Yale, and all the others, because those schools, and IAS, those schools have won the Fields Medal, because as the collective there, each member, you know, so number 7 is shared by Harvard, MIT, and Cambridge, and other schools where they are Fields Medals. This point is extremely critical for you all to understand, because propaganda will have you believe that we don't even exist, let alone try to compete with Harvard. That's propaganda. You saw a piece before where Harvard professors are begging to learn stuff from faculties of technology. Therefore, you don't learn from universities that are inferior to you, right? Right? You learn from universities that are superior to your university. That's the dynamics of the flow of knowledge. So when they're waiting to study GAGUT at Harvard, is their understanding that we are a superior university. Can you all see that?
Can everyone see that?
Yes, Professor. Yes.
Is there anybody that cannot see that? If so, please identify yourself so we can explain it for you. Okay? The books that you study are supposed to come from superior universities to yours. Otherwise, you'll be writing your own books for your students. But if you have to get books from other universities, those universities will have something you don't have. So that's what was indicated before by those signatures. Over 415 of them between Harvard and MIT. Now, in addition, you're seeing a similar ranking. In other words, Harvard and MIT confirmed the faculty of technology is superior and the number 1, and in reality, the ultimate university. So that's reality. But propaganda does not allow you to see that reality, but it is demonstrated here in those signatures and over here in the name of Gauss. Gauss said if humanity has an opportunity to study these 52 works, one opportunity, 1 week they can study, says the one that they need to study is GAGUT. Do you understand? Forget everything else. That's what it means to put GAGUT in number 1 and a central position.
That's right.
So that says that our university is number one, very loud and unequivocally. We praise God. So there's a Russian university, and number 4 is a university in Russia that, before this dynamics was a little more well known, which is the GAGUT, because Anatoly Fomenko has been associated with Moscow State, which is part of the Leningrad Moscow State system, like Oxbridge. That's a similar relationship between Leningrad and Moscow State, that exists between Oxford and Cambridge. So if you call it Oxbridge, this is Lenin School. Okay? Lenin School. So, you understand? So Anatoly Fomenko come from there. It's number 4. So that's expected in the ranking of the world universities. So Ofapit is number 1 forever. So the reason why they will bomb Ofapit. Because if Ofapit is not there, then you have a Russia will be first, and you understand, these others will have to rise up a little bit. Okay? But that's also done in the name of their most respected mathematician, Gauss. Therefore, this is not a joke. Okay? This is reality. Wake up, folks. You've been thinking Ofapit into technology is not accredited, it's not any of those. That's propaganda. That's not real. Our accreditation comes directly from God. We teach you not only everything, we teach you everything in the most precise form, in the form of theorems. That's what we teach you. There's no other institution that's able to do that without going through us first. That's why the professors from Harvard and MIT were talking to the administration to start teaching GAGUT. But thanks to the ignorance of, Clay, that is calling itself Igno-Clay, the Harvard professors and staff and MIT professors and staff are languishing in the ignorance of Clay Mathematics Institute. So that's why they need help. So again, you've seen the ranking of our university as being number 1. That's the only place we can be. So if you see a listing that doesn't have Ofapit at the class number 1, that's not real. That's a fraud. Okay? The reality is what you see here in the name of Gauss. Okay? So now, John, I'm going to need to shift on to other. Please, if there's any question, please ask. It's very important. Now, having seen that we're not only number 1 university, and certainly University of Mathematics, we're the headquarters of intelligence. Therefore, the knowledge that you get from here is the best possible, because it comes out of Gij, comma j equal to 0. And responses, so I asked you to verify the list the other day. This one you can verify, but you verified also the Harvard piece. You verified these are the top universities of the world. And as you can see, not only Financial Times is not really, although they do that thing, but according to their list, Harvard is supposed to be number 1. That's because they don't count GAGUT or Ofapit technology. If they counted the Ofapit technology, Ofapit technology would be number 1 for sure. That's what Göttingen should know that. That's why. And Göttingen didn't put himself number 1; he put himself number 3. So that is to show their credibility. So now that you've seen where the field medalists rank compared to GAGUT collectively, let's see what happens, John. I need you here. What happened when, so you can see here, first of all, GAGUT is peerless. There are no peers for GAGUT really in terms of the review process. But the reviews had already been done by Grigor Sagas, and I need the GAGUT, if you could get the page, the cover page for the journal, or with the reviewers, and then move on to the actual document in terms of So now you all know. Yes. Okay. Yeah. You can zero in on the top part that states the GAGUT theorem. GAGUT as a theorem first. Yes. The equation and what is said. No. Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Can you all see that?
Ordained for us.
I can't hear what you said.
What did you say?
Ordained for us.
Praise God. Praise God. That's God's order.
Can you read the page though?
No, yeah. He's making a comment, but this is okay. So, but you can see the equation, right? Can you all see the equation and the statement? This is the journal. Can you all see that?
See it. I see it.
Okay. This is the cover of the journal, and we're leading to the review, the formal review of GAGUT. I'm sorry, the G2j. So, God Almighty's grand unified theorem, nicknamed GAGUT, infallibly proved that all equations and all theorems originate out of one invariant Gi, which infallibly defines God, with orthogonal components Gij and a divergence given by Gij, comma j equal to 0. That's not only the totality of mathematics, but the totality of the knowledge of the truth. Therefore, that's the God order. 2 plus 1 cannot equal 3 if they disobey this equation. Therefore, the only reason that is correct is that it comes out of this here. And then you just find the Gij. The Gij for 2 plus 1 is equal to 3 is 2 plus 1 minus 3, which is 0. The Gij is 0. And the change in that 0 obviously is 0. Therefore, that came directly from this equation. Can you all see that?
Yes. Can everyone else see that?
Yeah, I see it.
Okay. So if you want to say 2 plus 3 is equal to 5, again, there's a Gij, which is 2 plus 3 minus 5 is also equal to 0. Okay, take a change of that. Gij, comma j is also again equal to 0. Can you see that?
Yes.
Seen it.
All right. The same way, if you want to add 9 plus 1 is equal to 10. The only reason that is correct is you find the Gij again, which is 9 plus 1 minus 10. You will see that's equal to 0. So you take a change of that, you'll get, Gij, comma j equal to 0 again. Can you see that, everyone?
Yes.
Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. What does that tell you? It means that every correct addition that you do must have a Gij that is equal to 0. And therefore must satisfy Gij, comma j equal to 0. Can you all see that?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Now, additions are called equations. So if you imagine that, therefore, what you've seen is that every addition which is expressed by equation is every correct equation, or expressed by an addition, is only correct because it satisfies the Gij, comma j equal to 0. Can you see that? Is there anybody that has difficulty seeing that statement that I just made? Addition is represented by equations, right? Two plus 1 is equal to 3 is an equation. Can you see that? Mr. Guzar? Hello?
I'm sorry. Yes, I see it.
Please
Okay.
respond when we're trying to ask.
Yes.
It's important that you interact.
Okay. 2 plus 1 is equal to 3 is called an equation. And we just proved that that equation is only correct because it satisfies the Gij, comma j equal to 0. Can you see that?
Yep.
All right. And then we said, well, 2 plus 3 is equal to 5. It's also an equation. And the only reason that equation is correct is because it satisfies the Gij, comma j equal to 0. Can you see that?
Yep.
Okay. Then we went and we used a third example, which is 9 plus 1 is equal to 10 is an equation. And because, that equation is only correct because it satisfies the Gij, comma j equal to 0. Can you see that? That's a third example. Can you see that?
Yes, and I have a question about that.
Go ahead.
If it leads to 0, does that mean 0 equals space-time?
It's a reference point in a space-time.
Okay.
Reference point. That's where you get your bearing. That's what we're talking about altogether. You have to have a bearing, a reference.
So would it be like in a coordinate system where everything points to the 0 point?
Yes, you start from your 0 point.
Okay.
That's what is called a reference point.
Okay.
And that reference point is the origin. In other words, that is God. God is the origin of everything. Can you see that?
Okay.
Can you really understand that?
Yep.
When nothing exists, God existed. God is the reference point, is the origin. Can you see that?
Yes.
Can you see that, Charles?
Yeah, I see it. Yep.
Okay. So therefore, everything else that pops up after that must come from that origin, which we call God. Can you see that?
Yes.
Yes.
It's like if you now start to move from that origin, your movement has to start from that origin, because the origin there is where you were before. That means everybody was contained in God before. That's where we were. Before we popped out of God, we were in the origin. Can you see that?
Yes.
Yes.
And evidence of our existence, therefore, is linked to that origin. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. So, and everything therefore that is a reality, which is what we call a theorem, a reality, an infallible truth. Do you understand?
Yes.
Can you understand that?
Understood.
So therefore, if you are a reality, meaning a theorem, you must come from God. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay.
And the proof that you come from God is that you satisfy this equation, Gij, comma j equal to 0. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. Therefore, a solution to Riemann hypothesis will be expressed by an equation. Can you see that?
Yes.
Just like any mathematical problem will have to be expressed. The solution to any mathematical problem has to be expressed in an equation. Can you see that?
Yes, and it is in 0, pretty much. Is that the main reason why it is the solution?
It is a solution only if you can prove it came from God.
Okay.
If it's a correct solution, it must come from God. That's what we just shown in these examples.
Okay.
So 2 plus 1 is equal to 3. It's a God order. It means it comes from God. And the proof is it satisfies Gij, comma j equal to 0. That's what we just showed. Can you see that?
Yes.
So therefore, if you have a mathematical problem like 2 plus 1, and you say, what's the answer? For it to be an answer, let's say the answer is x. So that means 2 plus 1 minus that x must come from God, meaning it's equal to 0. And so you will see that the only x that makes that 2 plus 1 minus x come from God as equal to 0 is 3. That's the only value of x that in that equation. Can you see that?
Yes, I have another question.
Go ahead.
What about the part, because I've read in the book that it shows that every single form of math is a form of addition. What about that part? How does that relate to this?
Yes, that is because remember that, you know, that's a little more complicated, but if you're at a reference point, that's the 0. You're moving away from God. Do you understand? I mean, you're moving away from the origin. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay. You could either, if you are on just one plane, one line, on a line, you know, and you put a reference point, which is the 0, just one dimension. Do you understand?
Yes.
Like, say you're on x-axis. You could be on a you could be on a trajectory, what we call a trajectory, meaning any path. But let's assume that the path here is on the horizontal line. Do you understand? And that the reference point at 0. So if you move in from 0, you could either go right or go left. Do you understand? From the reference point, from the 0. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. So, if you move right, if you go in what is called the opposite direction, I'm sorry, positive direction, that's where you'll be going. Do you understand?
Understood.
Okay. So your distance will be positive. The distance you would have covered, or the amount, in other words, the value of your distance from the point will be not so much the distance, but your direction. You know, in other words, it will increase. You'll be moving away from the point in a positive direction. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. Now, let's take a good example where, let's say you are at a point to the right of the origin. And let's say you are at a point, you know, 2 or point 4. Okay, you are at point 4. Okay. Now, you are 4 points away from the origin. And you now want to move from that point 4. Do you understand? You understand? You're at mile 4. You understand?
Yes.
From the origin. Now you want to start your movement from there. Okay? You listening?
Yeah, I hear you.
All right. You could either go right of 4 or go left on 4 if you are just restricted to the horizontal line. Can you see that? Can you see that?
Yep.
All right. If you go right, you're going to increase your distance. Can you see that? From the origin. If you go right of 4, you'll be increasing your distance from the origin. Can you see that?
Yep.
Okay. If you go left, you'll be decreasing your distance from the origin. Can you see that? Can you see that?
Yes, see it.
For example, if you go from 4 to 3, your distance from the origin right now, that's going left of it, will now become 3 instead of 4. It will be 3 miles instead of 4 miles. Can you see that? Can you see that?
Yep.
Okay, but if you were to go right, let's say you went to the point of 5, you would have increased your distance from the origin to 5 rather than 4. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. So what it boils down to is it's all about relative positions and relative motions. Do you understand? That's what GAGUT proved logically. So what happens is when you find yourself at a point like 4, in terms of the whole purpose of operation, the end result of any operation is to determine if from your reference point where you are, you're going to increase your distance from the origin or decrease your distance from the origin. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. So whatever you do in an operation, it will determine, okay, in other words, in the dynamics of addition, you either increase or decrease your distance from the origin. That's what we just showed. Can you see that?
Yes.
All right. Now, if you do a division, let's say you divide in 4, okay, by any number as an operation. Do you understand? Do you understand?
Yes.
You're going to either have a number that is less or bigger. Can you see that?
Yes.
But in the addition, you just verify that from addition, you can either increase your distance from the origin or make it smaller. Can you see that? Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay, so that means that if division leads to a similar result in terms of what division will do to your distance from the origin, from your reference point, is to either diminish it or add to it. Do you understand? Do you understand that?
Yep.
Operation is supposed to determine if your distance from the reference point is smaller or bigger. That's what any operation does. Do you understand?
Yep.
But addition does the same thing. Do you understand? Addition will either make your distance from origin smaller or bigger. Do you understand?
Yep.
So does division. Do you understand?
Yep.
Multiplication will also do the same thing. They can do either it remains the same or it gets bigger or gets smaller. Those are the 3 choices. And that can be accomplished by any operation. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Therefore, if you choose one of them, that will speak for everything else. Can you see that?
Yep.
Addition may well be that one choice that you make. Can you see that?
Yep.
Because therefore, addition covers every other operation. Can you see that?
Yep.
Okay, so that's where that came from. So, and therefore, that brings us to the next thing. So, when you talk about functions, it's extension of what I just showed you. Can you see that? What you call functions in terms of you're traveling through the space. That's what function is about. Do you understand? You understand that?
Yeah.
Okay, so what we're saying that an equation is how you determine whether you're closer to the origin or not. So again, for you to do anything geometrically, you need an equation, which is a representation of a theorem of a truth, of infallible truth. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Okay, so what we're saying then, we just proved that all additions that are correctly done are only correct because they satisfy the Gij, comma j equal to 0, right?
Yeah.
Did we just prove that? Okay, so therefore, I will just say that every operation can be represented by addition. That's what we just indicated, right? That's what we just went over, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so therefore, whatever your operation, it can be symbolically represented by an addition. Can you see that?
Yeah.
An equation. So therefore, if you have covered that addition is only possible, addition can only be correct if that addition satisfies the Jij, comma j equal to 0, right? Isn't that what we just proved?
Yes.
Okay, so addition is only possible. Okay, like 2 plus 1 is equal to 3 is only possible, correct. It's only correct as an equation because it satisfies Gij, comma j equal to 0, right?
Yep.
And since addition represents every kind of operation, therefore, and since operations are used in writing equations, therefore, an addition equation symbolically represents all other kinds of equations. Can you see that? Can you see that?
Yep.
All right. Therefore, equation for Riemann hypothesis equation are represented by addition. Can you see that? Can you see that part? That's a little harder for you to see. Hello?
Yeah. Yeah, I hear. Sorry about that.
Okay, what we're saying is just concentrate on the equation. We just showed that equations resulting from addition can only be correct if they satisfy Gij, comma j equal to 0. Right?
Yep.
A solution to Riemann hypothesis will be represented by an equation. Can you see that?
Yep.
Okay, so therefore, for that equation to be a correct solution to Riemann hypothesis, it must satisfy the Gij, comma j equal to 0. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Therefore, if you call that solution to Riemann hypothesis G2j, it will satisfy Gij, comma j equal to 0. Can you see that?
Yep.
Okay, that is what Clay has been unable to understand. Now, can you see why that is extremely a serious issue? Can you see why that problem with the clay is a very serious problem?
Yep.
Okay. So therefore, G2j, comma j must also equal to 0 if G2j is the solution to the Riemann.
So I have another question.
Yes.
So you said G2j.
Yes.
It's also the same thing as Gij. But
Yeah.
if it's G2j equals 0, what happens to the I in G2j?
The I has now been a specific one because I could take any number of values, infinite values. That's what makes GAGUT.
Okay.
Yeah, it's that's a geometry. It's called similarities and symbolisms. Okay.
Is it that same I that has that curve on the bottom that you see in regular mathematics?
Well, okay. In other words, I could be any. It could represent any number or even any symbol.
So it's it's more of its own individual representative.
It's a generic representative.
Generic, okay.
Yeah, that's generic. Generalization. That's what mathematics is about. Mathematics, among other things, generalizes geometries.
Okay.
And that's what makes this the most elegant revelation, past, present, and future. Because you can't get more elegant than this. It's ultimate elegance. Because everything in mathematics, as a study of theorems or equations, is all in that GAGUT, G2j. With the symbolisms, symbols of I, and J. I is the material, what we call the material, and J is the space-time. So if you pick up a material, in this case, the material for the Riemann is 2, symbol 2. So you have now G2j, j equal to 0. That's the Riemann hypothesis. That's the necessary condition for the solution to Riemann hypothesis. Can you see that? Can you see that?
Yeah.
Because Gij is invariant for every correct equation and theorem, everyone. So a solution to Riemann hypothesis must have a Gij, and which is what we refer to as the G2j. So if it's a correct solution to Riemann hypothesis, just like a correct solution to 2 plus 1 minus x is equal to 0, the only way it can be correct is if it has a Gij that is equal to 0, which will make x equal to 3. X has to be 3 to satisfy the equation. So every correct equation, including the solution equation to Riemann hypothesis, must have a Gij that is equal to 0. And if it is the G2j, then it must satisfy that equation Gij, j equal to 0, which is G2j, j equal to 0. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Therefore, since the Gij, j equal to 0 has been solved since 1990, therefore the G2j has been in existence since 1990. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yes. Clay does not see that. Can you see why that is a problem?
Yep.
Okay. That is your job that you need to do, is to correct that problem. By going to Harvard, Harvard has to. See, I'm just going over with you. It's all in here. And you're free to ask questions. But Clay cannot be misleading the world and telling the world Riemann hypothesis has not been solved yet. Because G2j equals to, huh?
It's jealousy.
Well, but jealousy is killing the world, because that's why that's the only basis of war, is to not see GAGUT. So you can't trivialize human lives with something called jealousy, But plus, when you attack people's mental state, that also is a very deadly thing. That's why I say it's a very serious attack on humanity. So in their own small world, but it's also embarrassing to you, or even as a human being, that you have a set of human race, a member of the human race, okay, that is ignoring this truth here, infallible truth, God order here. Don't you feel embarrassed?
Very.
Yes, that's what you need to tell Harvard and MIT. And it's embarrassing to an entire humanity. Though it's not just some kind of non-black issue. It's an embarrassment to humanity. I feel extraordinarily embarrassed that Clay could consider to be a member of the human race. That's how I feel. And I speak for the rest of the world, including Clay. Clay members, whoever they are, Clay. So Now this has been in writing, and always says it has resolved G2j equal to 0. That's the invariant. Every equation comes out of invariant. So that's why from now on, every equation that you write must be written as an invariant. Okay? What you are used to before has now been revised. So the equation that represents the solution of Riemann is the G2j. It's an invariant. Has resolved the 152. We say that reference to when this particular piece was published. The problem was actually solved when it was 131 years old. That's 1990. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So it has resolved the 152-year-old enigma called the Riemann hypothesis. So Jim Crow and especially ClayMath puts, with the support of the BBC, puts Okpemi up to say, oh, he has solved the 156-year-old problem. You can see, even with the 152 years as a reference point, that is already 4 years. You understand? 4 years late. In other words, ClayMath is unable to understand that a problem that has been solved, 25 years ago cannot be resolved for the first time 25 years later. Can you see that? Can you see that, Charles Usogara?
Yep.
Okay, that's the real, you understand, it's an embarrassment because, among other things, it leads to a war. It divides people up. And the dumbness is that, yeah, that is good business because that is going to create us more profit by building more bullets, or more bombs and more guns and so on. That's a small-mindedness that's behind this horror here. Do you understand?
Yeah. I have another question.
Okay.
In the case of, say, like you said, we should instead practice intelligence instead of having to attack. What would you do in the case if you're being attacked and you're trying to defend yourself?
No. That is acceptable. That's the only time God allows you to defend yourself. Your life is extremely precious. So, especially against tigers and humans who call themselves humans, but very much operating with the tiger IQ. You understand? So you must defend yourself. You must first of all, try to sensitize or reach their brains to say, no, it's wrong, it's not. But that's what I'm doing with Clay right now.
I have another question.
Yes.
So aside from using the shirt to protect you, the GAGUT shirt, I mean, let's say there was a case where you knew your rights, but you didn't have the GAGUT shirt, and you still wanted to preach your rights, but you were still to get shot at and end up, getting taken out in front of kids. How would you apply GAGUT in a case like that?
The real way is to have monuments of GAGUT.
Okay.
That's your next project.
Okay.
But because you're doing that, you must inform Harvard. You must wear your GAGUT shirts. You must campaign with the community because it's not only an individual thing, but a collective thing. Do you understand?
So pretty much it's through.
That's what happened to the Jewish people.
Okay, and that was what led the elite to respect them and say, okay, we can't attack them.
Oh, absolutely. But that's where you are. But you've got what is the most important ingredient already, which is the formula.
Yeah.
Formula is a power
that
forces people to change the way they view people up until the point of formula. That's why your first concentration must be the formula, because it's a God order. As you can see, it is infallible. Nothing that is done, even the whole idea of eating, can't happen if it doesn't go through GAGUT. There's nothing that is done right that is possible if it disagrees with GAGUT. So therefore, that is the most important part. And what is being done by ClayMath is to make you disengage you from that, so you are not aware. It's like trying to persuade the Jews to ignore E is equal to MC squared. If the Jewish people had done that, they would have been exterminated. They refused. They refused to do that. That's why they're still alive today. The same way you must refuse. You go right on to, but you must sensitize your brothers and sisters, the other black people. They must wake up. They must wear the shirt. If you
so pretty much, Professor, is it okay to ask another question?
Go ahead.
So pretty much it's the validity of GAGUT that can save us.
Yes.
Okay.
It saves not only black people, but it saves the world.
Okay.
The bombing in Paris will not occur, or in France will not occur, or in Belgium, or even in Germany will not occur if people listen to GAGUT. Because for a bombing to occur, there must be a disagreement. Disagreement is, agreeing on 2 + 1 is equal to 3. Do you understand?
Yeah.
See, what Clay is disagreeing here, that's why Clay is deadly. Is disagreeing with this infallible truth that I just went over with you. And saying it does not exist. That's, which is a fraud. That's why Clay's problem is extremely serious. Can you see that?
Yeah.
So what Clay is doing is to set up a war between the black people and the rest of the non-blacks. That's what Clay is doing. Can you see that?
Yep.
Okay. You are a young man, you soaking up on this, you understand. You getting an understanding. And you're seeing not only the veracity of this here, that they claim, the Riemann hypothesis has been solved since the 1990s. And Clay is telling you today, as of today, even as I'm talking to you, that it still remains an unsolved problem. Don't you see something wrong with that?
Definitely.
So therefore, you are seeing a solution of a problem that's not only solved, but it's infallible. Everything that comes out of Gij, J equal to 0 is infallible. Infallible means is infallibly correct, is perfectly correct. Like 2 + 1 is equal to 3 is perfectly correct. Do you understand?
Yes.
Anything that has an invariant is perfectly correct. So a G2j, which is an invariant, is also perfectly correct. Do you understand?
Yeah.
All right. So you are seeing in the book, you're looking at it in your face, you can touch it. Is Haynes there? Okay. Young Haynes was confused when he read in a British newspaper that says Okpemie had not only solved the Riemann hypothesis, but already been paid. And so he's listening to the presentation of GAGUT and say, gee, which one is correct, GAGUT or Okpemie and the British fraud? So then eventually John had to ask him, well, where is the evidence of Okpemie solved the Riemann hypothesis? Where is his equation? He said he didn't see any equation. So the only thing you see, therefore, is a bogus, empty propaganda statement that he has solved it. Why didn't you ask them for equation?
Okay.
Okay? But
Yeah.
here you can see the very first thing we show you in the name of God is the equation. And we're showing you the infallibility of that equation. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So therefore, that's where G2j came from. Okay? And it's eta sub 0, whereas the general expression is eta sub n, the solution to Riemann hypothesis. In other words, everything that is needed to show the Riemann hypothesis is demonstrated in the G2j of eta sub 0 already. Do you understand?
Yep.
And it is infallible because that equation is infallible. And today, ClayMath is telling the world this problem is unsolved. don't you feel very, very embarrassed about it?
Yep.
Okay, so that's what is the problem. So now you're going to go down and see what we did in order to minimize that embarrassment. Oh, John? Yeah, because this thing got turned off. No. I pressed the button and the thing didn't work. Okay. It just went off. This? No. The previous, the page. I don't know what, I clicked something and it popped up. Yes, that's it. Okay. So, okay. Now, so now you've seen that G2j, right? Usogara?
Yep.
Okay, now let's go to the review. Go to the reviewers. You see the journal there? Oh, by the way, see the, expand this a little bit so people can read. It's kind of smudged up.
This is because it's the largest.
Okay, let's see. Oh boy, maybe get it lower because the date there seems to be, minimize it a little bit perhaps. Is it better?
No, this isn't a high resolution image. I didn't have that.
Okay. Anyway, you can see there the date of the journal, right? Uzogara, can you see that?
I believe November 30th.
Yes,
November 2010.
November 2010. That's what that is.
2010, I'm sorry.
Yeah, volume 1, number 1. That's the journal. Okay? Now, so Okwemi comes up in 215 and says he has solved the 156 problem. So now the dynamics of the roles of each participant in that fraud is the originator of the fraud is ClayMath. Okwemi is just recruited as their agent. Do you understand?
Yes.
Ugozora, can you see that?
Yes.
Okay, because Okwemi couldn't get up by himself and try to produce such a fraud. If he tried, the world wouldn't hear him. Okay, so therefore the BBC and Clay, they think they're using intelligence. They don't know that nothing is opaque from GAGUT. Everything is transparent. GAGUT, we can see everything. You understand?
Yes.
As of even before they came into existence, they were aware through the American Mathematical Society and European Mathematical Society of the solution to Riemann aperture and all the other problems. They ignored it and hope by ignoring through this dumb process, the world is going to ignore it so they can lay claim to it. Do you understand?
Yes.
So 2004 came, the whole thing went global and it was unanimously understood to be reality. Jim Crow Clay was still trying to hold out. Obstructed the professors and students and staff of MIT and Harvard and Columbia and other universities, Stony Brook and all that, from learning. Stony Brook alone, there were over 1,000 professors, staff, and students. ClayMath, along with the propaganda machines, refused to allow those professors and students and staff to learn GAGUT. In order to provide an opportunity for Clay to put up a fraud like Okwemi and then take control in the process, and more focus is a dynamics of trying to make people forget GAGUT. So they go, oh yeah, they discovered GAGUT. Even though there's the documentation everywhere in the world. That's how small-minded a criminal is, like ClayMath. And you see that. Ugozora, can you see that dynamics?
Yep.
All right. Now move now to the reviews. So now remember, by now there have been reviews already from. That's all that matters, especially in the non-math world, the American Mathematical Society and the European Mathematical Society. For American Mathematical Society, it was a legendary mathematician called Yom Karo, who eventually became a president of his university. Okay? Then he reviewed that for American Mathematical Society, and they agreed there's only one theorem. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
On behalf of the American Mathematical Society, ClayMath, that is a nobody in mathematics, ignore the review on behalf of American Mathematical Society. Does that sound, sensible to you?
No.
Hugo Zara, does that sound like ClayMath that has absolutely no credential in mathematics can ignore a review on behalf of American Mathematical Society?
Yeah, it's typical. It's typical for such a behavior.
That's what we call sickness. That is mental
Yep.
illness. It's so dumb it is no longer credible again. So, and then you have the person of Yom Karo, who reviewed it on behalf of American, and Yom Karo actually agreed with everything that was said in the paper, verbatim. Okay, in other words, he had nothing to change. Usually, like I explained, the dynamics of a review process in mathematics, is that most authors exaggerate their contribution. And so a reviewer will have to tailor that down to bring it down to reality, to say those other additions were not really covered. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
It will trim it a little bit or bring it down to the reality. That's why not every work that is published is reviewed by American mathematicians. Those they don't consider to be significant contributions are not even reviewed. Do you understand? You don't know that, but that is the reality of mathematics research. And so when he reviewed, he agreed with everything that was stated in our work. That's unusual for a review, extremely unusual, because it's the biggest paper in terms of research revelation. And Yom Karo, as a math professor, who eventually became a professor of the president of his university, actually was convinced everything that was proved in the paper was correct. He totally agreed with it, because he just signed off on the entire abstract of the paper as his review. You understand?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That is ideal. That's incredible, especially coming from the biggest discovery or revelation in history. So now, the AMS and EMS, the legend who was selected to review the one theorem of GAGUT, GAGUT was Professor Grigor Sagas, who during that point has been recognized as one of the biggest stars alive in mathematics. Atiyah had nothing on him. So Atiyah was so impressed. Atiyah was very pleasantly delighted to hear that Grigor Sagas has reviewed GAGUT, that says all theorems must satisfy the G2j, j equal to 0, including a Riemann hypothesis solution theorem. Do you understand?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Grigor Sagas reviewed that and agreed with it on behalf of the European Mathematical Society. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Everybody knows American Mathematical Society, every mathematician at least. Everybody knows European Mathematical Society. Very few people know ClayMath. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And the use of math or Clay is such a fraud, that is unbelievable. So they came in and tried to ignore both American Mathematical Society and European Mathematical Society. So, and then try to con a few, you know, so-called reputable mathematicians. That's who we call the distinguished invited reviewers here. Do you understand?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so distinguished invited reviewers. That's, you know, beyond the American Mathematical Society, AMS, and the European Mathematical Society reviews that there are a lot of discoveries that were not even accepted by those institutions and yet have established reputation. But we were recognized as being impeccable by those two, and those are the two in the non-black world. Those are the two relevant. The global presentation and, you know, scrutiny, which was described as being very ferocious in Nigeria for 30 days from everybody in the world, adds to the dynamics of the AMS and EMS. Okay, that's as of 2004. And as you can see, Professor Suji, a very illustrious Nigerian professor, was so eloquent, and they attacked him for his eloquent presentation of GAGUT. It's in the book. Okay? Did you see the piece on Professor Suji? Did you see that?
Yep.
He's not only a brilliant scientist, but you understand, a very eloquent, you know, scientist. Okay? Now, he went and made a presentation to the United Nations, then to UNESCO, and they had no problem. But idiots like ClayMath and BBC and all that, you know, and all that devilish forces, they went after him and tried to set up a sting operation to destroy his credibility. That's what they've been trying to do with everybody that has been trying to be righteous. So these are very dirty, you know. So anyway, so in spite of all this heavy duty, I would have, you know, ignored anything else, you know, after the AMS have verified GAGUT. That would have been so. But you know, Nigeria was forced to bring the whole world into Nigeria to scrutinize, and Professor Suji was a big part of that because he wanted everybody to come in and challenge GAGUT. Okay, and along with Professor Kebukola and Professor Adedipe and all the legends, and in the process allow Professor Iya Abubakar, representing the Cambridge University, where he got his PhD from. Professor Chikobi was not very well during the time I arrived, but he was briefed by Professor Animalu, who is his protege. Animalu reviewed GAGUT as another Cambridge mathematical physicist. Okay, he reviewed GAGUT very loud and clear, and that is on the State University of New York's website. Ironically, set up a website that's set up by the CIA or other intelligence units, so-called. So now, but Professor Animalu briefed Professor Chikobi and Professor Showumi and everybody. They were all first ready to challenge GAGUT, and once they see GAGUT is an act of God, just like you saw, they praised God, they celebrated God, and you know, $55 million was dumped in Nigeria, where they don't allow Nigerians to be productive. Are only consumers. You know, when you dump $55 million in that kind of environment, you could get people to do anything, right? You can see that, right?
Yes.
Yes, that's how Nigerians were gone into abandoning the GAGUT, and you know, they were running amok. They were killing people left and right to make sure GAGUT is stopped. And you know that is a foreign origin because Africans really don't do business like that, you know. But it's foreign money, and they were getting so. Anyway, so this in order to, you know, formalize and specialize it into Riemann hypothesis, since the original solution was a general solution to every problem, which includes the Riemann hypothesis. This so-called select few, now, for you to understand who these are, most of them are field medalists, meaning they are number 7 on Gauss year. Do you understand? You have to keep that in mind. Do you understand?
Yes.
Uzogara, can you see it? Can you understand that?
Yes.
Okay. They are distinguished to the level of their ranking on Gaussian ranking of mathematicians. Do you understand me? Can you understand that?
Yes.
Okay. That means that as far as mathematicians that are alive, these are some of the best that are available, especially in the field of Riemann hypothesis, which is complex variable, really. Okay, and all the other names that could be, but fundamentally it's complex variables. So, to review, to allow the continuation of what was done in Nigeria and a global series of lectures, and what eventually was done by Göttingen, we wanted to make sure the people from that Göttingen list, most of them being field medalists, were asked to come and challenge the G2j solution. Do you understand?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And the title of the solution to Riemann hypothesis is called God Almighty's Grand Unified Theorem. Gij, comma j equal to 0 has revealed proven solution to Riemann hypothesis, a clear mathematics millennium problem by Professor Gabriel L. Eagle. And the first, one of the members are Sir Professor Michael Atiyah, you remember, he field medalist, King Faisal Prize laureate, Abel Prize laureate, and former master of Trinity College, Cambridge. You understand?
Yes.
That is one of the reviewers that was selected. Now, as you recall, if you go back to your Göttingen again, you see his name was on the week 19, the math work that was ranked number 7. You remember that, right?
Yes.
So, because he is one of the people on the Göttingen list that are still alive. Do you understand?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Because Göttingen list is where the most important mathematicians are. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Anybody in company of Gauss would normally be understood to be a high caliber mathematician, right?
Yes.
Okay, so therefore that's why we must not play with the Göttingen list. That's another thing that should be in your living room. You frame it very large. If a police comes into your door, you should have it in your car as well. Say, see that person there, number 1 in mathematics, that's your uncle. You understand?
Yes.
That's how you protect yourself. Have the books, have a copy of your book handy as well. Do you understand? So in that way, you are introduced to the police. Do you understand?
Yes.
Charles Uzogora, you hear me?
I hear you.
This is your survival, like you were asking before. How do you protect yourself? It's the truth that really protects you. The truth is very powerful. Do you understand?
That's right.
So the second one is Professor Enrico Bombieri, another field medalist. That means he's on number 7 or 20 or number 19. Do you understand?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Another one is Peter Sarnak. He was a former head of math department at Princeton University. Do you understand?
Yes.
Another one is Jim Carlson. He was the president of Clay Mathematics Institute. Do you understand?
Yes.
Yes.
What does that mean to you? It means Clay has reviewed GAGUT, I mean G2j solution. Can you see that in this list?
Yes.
And we had no opposition from any of these people. This is since 2010. Do you see any basis of Clay still telling the world the problem has not been resolved?
No.
I don't. see other ways for them to do so.
Huh?
I said I don't see other ways for Clay to do so.
Yeah, that's how Clay is insulting your intelligence and intelligence of humanity.
Mm-hmm.
Their very president is supposed to be a mathematician. Professor Jim Carlson was part of the, and Carlson, other than Clay, he doesn't show. I don't see his name on Gauss year 2000. Do you understand?
Yes.
That does not tell that Clay is a hot item either. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay, but we put him here because he's supposed to represent the Clay. He's in here, but he's not on the Göttingen list. Do you understand?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The other two that before him were on the Göttingen list. Sarnak didn't make it to the Göttingen list, but as a former head of math department at Princeton, that's supposed to be prestigious. Do you understand?
Yes.
Yes.
So then we have Professor Andrew Wiles. Probably you heard about him, or if you're too young, oh, he made waves, supposedly solving the Fermat's last theorem. Do you understand? He's also from Princeton University. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay, he was also invited, and and he had won King Faisal's prize, okay, for that work. Now today he has also won the Abel Prize, but he was invited. We did not see an opposition from Andrew Wiles. Do you understand?
Yes.
Because the only man that will have opposition, as is being done collectively by Clay, is a bunch of idiots. Those are not mathematicians. Do you understand?
Yes.
To disagree with G2j is to disagree with 2 + 1 is equal to 3. Do you understand?
Yes.
No mathematician will fall that low. Otherwise, they've lost everything they have. Do you understand? Do you understand? Okay, so Andrew Wiles had no position. Then comes Professor George Andrews. He was president of American Mathematical Society. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay. How could he oppose the G2j solution when American Society that he was heading had already verified GAGUT to be infallible? Do you understand?
Yes.
So therefore, we had no position from him either. Do you understand?
Yes.
Then there was a Russian, okay, a leading researcher from the Russian Academy of Sciences, Professor Karasuba. Do you understand?
Yes.
He was from, PhD from Moscow State University. And her father was a leading scientist in the Russian Academy of Sciences. Her father was Professor Karasuba, who has contributed to the Riemann hypothesis before he transformed on. You understand? This is the daughter. He was invited and participated. We didn't have any opposition from her either. Do you understand?
Yes.
Then we have Professor Samuel Patterson. This one is from Göttingen University. Do you understand? Distinguished math professor from Göttingen University. Can you see that? Can you see that?
Yes.
Professor Samuel Patterson. These are some of the distinguished members of the distinguished reviewers that were called. It takes a lot of guts to call on all these kind of people to come and review a subject. Do you understand? It takes a lot of guts, wouldn't you say?
Yes.
Okay, and the guts that could be developed has to be based on the infallibility of the solution. And with any of these people say they disagree with it, and not one of them could say that. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay. So then you have the president of European Mathematical Society, Ari Laptep. Again, there was no position from him because he would be contradicting the review by Grigory Sagas. Do you understand?
Yes.
Who was a legend. Okay. And of course, like I said before, Professor Grigory Sagas, because of his standing as being a legendary mathematician alive, he mysteriously disappeared and was declared dead. Probably a foul play as a result of him putting his weight behind GAGUT. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Okay, then we have Professor Pierre Dallin, a field medalist. This particular guy is important. You understand? Pierre Delin is a field medalist. That means he's on number 19. Do you understand?
Yes.
But he's also considered one of the most authoritative person on Riemann hypothesis, because he has verified Riemann hypothesis for what is called the finite field domain. Do you understand? Do you understand?
Yes.
In addition, he had boasted to us that he couldn't wait to review and disprove GAGUT. I mean, the G2j solution. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
That's Professor Pierre Delin, and we offered him that opportunity. You understand?
Yeah.
That's why his name is here. We told him we'd be delighted, and we sent him the statement that you just saw, earlier in terms of what is GAGUT, because he said, what does GAGUT mean? We need to explain GAGUT to him. So we explained it just like, it was explained upstairs before in terms of being, a theorem of all theorems. And after that was presented to him in an email communication he had with our university, we never heard from him again. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. And he was hoping, he's looking forward to disprove GAGUT. When we sent him that, we never heard from him again. Obviously, for a person who was very looking forward to disprove GAGUT after GAGUT has been sent over to him and you never heard from him again, do you think he disagreed with GAGUT?
Yeah.
Do you think so?
Repeat it again.
Somebody's waiting to disprove GAGUT, and asks us for what is GAGUT. He says he can't wait to, as a matter of fact, he was calling GAGUT all kinds of names before that. He says, yeah, man, I like to see GAGUT and make sure I either agree with it or disagree with it, but the emphasis was him disagreeing with it. Do you understand?
Yes.
That is our perception of the spirit by which he was making his presentation. So we delightedly sent him the statement of the theorem. Okay? And then we never heard from him again. Why do you think we never heard from him again after we sent him GAGUT?
Okay.
Do you know what may have discouraged him from getting back with us?
No. What did that?
Well, okay. Somebody who says, I can't wait, I like to disprove GAGUT. Just tell me what GAGUT is and I will disprove it. So we sent in effect what we went over with you a little while ago. We sent it over to him, in fact, the statement. Okay, we sent over what we went over with you. We sent all that to him. And we never heard. It's like after we made the presentation to you and you ran away. What would be a reason for you to run away after we went over?
Because he'd be afraid that he'd lose control of his lie to the masses.
So especially if because he would have gotten a lot of notoriety if he was able to disprove GAGUT, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But instead, he didn't do that. He ran away. Instead, he got lost. Why? What would be the plausible reason? He said it can't be because
he knew he lost.
Exactly. That's very likely the only possibility, because he already said he wants to disprove it. So it would have been just simple for him. Like if you could disprove what you heard before, wouldn't you have pointed it out?
Yeah.
And that will make you look good, because all the noise, like Sai was saying the other day, says GAGUT sounded so unbelievable. Don't you think that anybody that's able to disprove GAGUT will get a lot of praises from the world?
Yes.
So for a person who has expressed the desire to do that, and when he's presented with the facts, he ran away, it can only be that he was unable to disprove it. Right?
Yes.
Yes, that's what happened with Professor Pierre Delin. Okay, that's there from that's the Einstein's Institute, which is Institute for Advanced Studies. IAS stands for Institute for Advanced Studies. Okay, do you understand?
Yes.
So then comes Barry Masur. He's a distinguished math professor from Harvard University. Okay, was one of the distinguished reviewers. We never got any opposition from him. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Then comes Grigoris Margulis from Yale University. Again, we never got any opposition from him either. Do you understand?
Yes.
Then there was Simon Donaldson, apparently a student of Professor Tia, a distinguished math professor from Imperial College, London. Again, we never got any opposition from him. Do you understand? Do you understand?
Yes.
We also had Professor Richard Melrose, from a distinguished math professor from MIT. Again, there was not a single opposition from him. Do you understand?
Yes.
And another one from Harvard, a field medalist. That means he's on number 19. Professor Tong Su. Okay, Yun Tong Su, a field medalist. That means he was on number 19 from Harvard University. Again, not a single opposition from him. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay, and then we have Peter Jones. I actually met with Professor Jones a couple of years earlier. Actually, in 1998, I met with him in his office in Yale University. Okay? Yes. Professor Peter Jones was the former head of math department at Yale University. Again, we never heard anything from any opposition from him. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay, and then we also invited another field medalist from France. Okay, IHES. Okay, Alain Cones. Again, sent him all the material. Again, never heard an opposition from him either. Do you understand?
Yes.
This happened in 2010. Includes Clay and everything else. And Clay has the audacity to still continue misleading the world without having opposition, any criticism or any disagreement with GAGUT after they've been given all the opportunities. And now the G2j is all over the internet. And we have communicated again with them, the link to the internet. And up to today, we have not heard one single reservations from any of these guys. Do you understand me?
Yes.
Okay, so that is how thick the fraud of ClayMath is. And ClayMath is, on the one hand, unable to disprove G2j solution to Riemann hypothesis, and yet is telling the world it doesn't exist. Do you understand?
Yes.
That is what is criminal in terms of ClayMath. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. John, I need for you to get on the get us to some other specific comments, you know, on the. Okay. Okay, so this is what you need to go over now. What we went over with you in terms of the theorem itself, every one of these guys has that, and they are the supposedly distinguished mathematicians. There's no basis they don't understand that one can say they didn't understand that. Okay,
It's not obvious.
okay.
I think it's automatic.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay. These are the various comments, and you can see there are plenty of them. These are the individual comments from the top mathematicians of the world with regards to GAGUT. We call this GAGUT briefing comments that call for the journal. Of course, that script I heard before, which it says, "Dear Yibo, I heard that you have been successful in finding the unified field theory." Actually, it's a theorem. Congratulations. You are more close to God than any of us. You've seen that before, right?
Yes.
I was also working upon this theory. Since my theory was different, God was different to me. Physics professor Krishnendu Dasgupta, mathematical physics professor. Okay. Then there was a piece. There's a piece for Sir Michael Atiyah, Sir Professor Michael Atiyah himself, field medalist, Kim Faisal Prize laureate, because John Glover actually met with him
On November 3rd.
on November 3rd, 2003, and it's documented in there. Okay, Abel Prize laureate, former master of Trinity College, Cambridge University. He was delighted to see the review of GAGUT by legendary mathematician Professor Grigory Sagas. In parentheses, you see there it says over 200 MRs. MR is the American Mathematical Review System acronym that says mathematical reviews. Mathematical work, research work is reviewed if only if they're significant. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay. For Sagas, he had over 200 mathematics reviews. In other words, 200 mathematics, significant mathematics research works. That puts him in a special category in terms of, you understand, the highest category of mathematicians. Do you understand? Do you understand, Mr. Ozogara?
Yes.
Okay, that's why he's in the same class as Sir Professor Atiyah himself. And Sir Professor Atiyah knew him. And so when John Glover told him, "Hey, guess who has reviewed GAGUT?" He said, "Who?" He says, "Professor Grigory Sagas." He said, "Oh." So when John showed him the review, Professor Sir Michael Atiyah requested. These were his words. Can you
a copy of this GAGUT review?
Can you see that?
Yes.
A person like him will not be asking for a review if he didn't consider that review to be important, right?
Yes.
That's a person who sat in Newton, who was a successor to Sir Isaac Newton from Cambridge University. Do you understand?
Yes.
John Glover met him face to face in Stony Brook, and after John briefed him on GAGUT and showed him the Grigory Sagas, he says, "Can I have a copy?" And John handed him a copy of the review. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay, that's what we're talking about. That's Sir Michael Atiyah. That's the one kind of response, direct response we got from Sir Michael Atiyah and the distinguished reviewers. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay, then the other one comes from Professor Edith Lutyens in terms of the nomination letter. That's two, and this happened, as you see there. The Atiyah thing happened on the November 3rd, 2010. And 2015, Clay has the nerve to tell the world GAGUT has not been, G2j has not been, does not exist. That's how you know the crime. Then the next one comes from an illustrious mathematician who is an academic granddaughter to David Hilbert, because she was a student on the master's level, but a student of Professor Courant from the Courant Institute, and of course a professor who has also reviewed Einstein's work, okay, including one that is published in this journal. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay, that's who is the next comment. He says, and you've seen this during the last presentation. He says, the most exciting contribution to me personally is Dr. Yibo's formulation of Einstein's unified field theory, actual theorem, or the theory of everything. He presented a generalized mathematical proof of Einstein's theory using a new group theory at RPI in March 1995. Having met Albert Einstein, that's hard speaking, and having co-authored reports about him, that's the review about him, about his work. Do you understand?
Yes.
Are you
Yes,
following?
yes.
Okay. I am thrilled that Gabriel Oyibo was the first to complete the task that intrigued and challenged Einstein and many other luminaries in science. Moreover, he did so in a mathematically elegant manner. Do you understand?
Yes.
Charles, do you understand that?
Yep.
In a mathematically elegant manner. It's the most elegant mathematics in the history of mathematics, and will be so forever. That's what I was showing you before, that if anybody tell you even a few mathematics could be incorporated in GIJ, j equal to 0, it will not be apparent. Do you understand?
Yes.
But it is not only that all of mathematics
Yes.
are all included in GIJ, j equal to 0, but it is perfectly correct, and that includes, by extension, all of knowledge of the truth. I mean, every discipline is included there. Do you understand?
Yes.
Yes.
That is ultimate elegance and godliness. That cannot be, a work of a human being. That's why we call it, a proper name, which is God Almighty's grand unified theorem. Do you understand?
Yes.
That can only come from God. So, Professor Yibo's contributions are extremely important, both theoretically and practically. They place him in the ranks of the world-class scientists. He is eminently qualified for Nobel Prize in Physics. Do you understand? Do you understand what was said here by an elite mathematician?
Yes.
But like Clay, Ig Nobel did not pay attention to that, although we've had comments from their reviewers when we talked to them over the phone here. When they commented on Professor Luchen's recommendation, Nobel, they said this is one of the best they've ever seen in terms of recommendation for Nobel Prize. Do you understand?
Yes.
We received that verbally from the Nobel Foundation before they declared themselves Ig Nobel. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right. So that's a comment. Another comment comes from the legend we were talking about last presentation. That is Professor Paul R. Garabedian. He was a student of Al Force. That's why I wanted you to show them the first winner.
Yeah, they've seen that.
No, we have the Al Force. Okay. Yeah, you just so they can just see very briefly, and another time we'll see a formal connection between him and Al Force. Okay. Are you there, Charles?
It's not open.
Yeah.
Just give me a second.
Okay, it's going to be put up in a second. I just want it to be. Yes. Probably. The other thing is, okay, what we'll do is, if you could, I know it's kind of hard, if you could pull his Wikipedia up also.
You see it up now, sir?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Enlarge it a little bit.
Do you see the name that's on the top of the 1936 listing?
Medalist, where it shows And he was the only one, actually. Usually the other, okay, you can see loss, alphas. Can you see it?
Yes.
Field medalist. That's Professor Garabedian's thesis advisor at University of Helsinki and Harvard University. Okay? Now that is, okay. Citation. All right. Look into the citation and see what it says. It says.
You mean where you're pointing at?
Yeah. I don't know if I'm pointing. Look, over here. No, yeah, over here. It says where the citation to the right. Why he was giving the field medal. Okay.
Which one? For who?
For Lars Alford.
Okay. He was awarded the medal for research uncovering surfaces related to Riemann surfaces of inverse functions of entire and meromorphic functions. He also opened up new fields of analysis.
There you go. Can you see that?
Yes.
You see the word Riemann mentioned, right?
Yes.
Even if you didn't understand the rest of it, he said Riemann surfaces. The G2j is a Riemann surface, an infinite branch Riemann surface. Do you understand?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay, that's what G2j is. So this is supposed to empower you, and by extension, being your protector. You have to be indoctrinated with these realities. This guy got a field medals for his research on surfaces related to Riemann surfaces. What God revealed to me is a Riemann surface, which even though it's named after Riemann, if Riemann had understood it, although he was not well during that stage of his life, he would have solved his own problem. He would have known where his idea came from. Do you understand?
Yes.
Yeah, you need to learn quickly and talk, bring everybody together, because this is an act of God. It's so beautiful and so huge. So the basis for setting up the field medals has to do with the Riemann. As GAGUT has proven, it's really about the Riemann hypothesis. Do you understand?
Yes.
So that's who is talking to you. Nobody was able to connect the Riemann hypothesis to Riemann surface. God revealed that only to me. Do you understand?
Yes.
And it is the basis, because of its difficulties, the basis of them setting up a prize. So the prize field medals was, for all practical purposes, set up so as to encourage the solving of the Riemann hypothesis. Do you understand?
Yes.
Charles, do you understand?
Yes.
The infinite branch logarithmic surface is the solution, is where the solution to the zeros of Riemann of zeta function comes from. And is the basis of the guess from Riemann that the zeros lie on the vertical line. Do you understand?
Yes.
This is extremely huge. And you're sitting down here, you listen to a story from God. Do you understand? It probably doesn't feel that way because it's not hitting you well enough yet. Do you understand?
Yes.
This is how GAGUT told the stories of every development in mathematics. This happened in 1936. I wasn't even born. Do you understand me? My oldest brother was barely born that time. I was nowhere near the horizon. They were looking for a way to encourage. In other words, ClayMath, an idiot. You understand? These are people who have brains. Obviously was searching for the Riemann hypothesis and couldn't get it. But in the process, he made contributions to Riemann surfaces. But unbeknown to him, the Riemann surfaces is where Riemann hypothesis was guessing at. But nobody had the connectivity to it. Do you understand? Yes. That had to wait until 1990. Do you understand? Do you understand?
Yes.
Charles, are you
I'm
there?
sorry. Yes. Yes.
Oh,
I'm saying sorry.
you have to pay attention because I'm spending a lot of energy here, and I know it's for the world, but you have to pay attention so you get a pro.
Yep. Yep. I don't know if you guys are talking to me, but I know that I can't really hear anything. Can you guys hear me? The volume went on. No, no, what I was saying is that your volume went on. I can't really hear. I can't hear you from my end either. It's like out of nowhere. It's like it came out. No, I don't.